A few weeks ago, I asked for your help. I told you that my name is Adam and that my professional job is to catch fraud. But I was stumped and I needed your help. The person that I'm running against, she claimed that she grew up on a cattle ranch in the country, but no one was able to find it. We couldn't. So we asked you to help us. And after a couple weeks, nobody else could either. But we found a lot more. In fact, we found what just might be one of the biggest scandals in Florida politics history. And because you helped us, we're going to let you know about it first. The person I'm running against is a master manipulator. In fact, her small business is a political consulting firm, which means that she lies to people for a living in order to get votes. I'm going to walk you through this. This is her first ad. This is the one telling her backstory. And you're going to see exactly what I mean by manipulation and lying, and the inside and dirty look into the background behind the campaigns and the politics that run in this area.
Growing up in the country, and particularly on a cattle ranch, you learn hard work early. So in April of 2011, we found out that due to Obama's remodification program, we lost our cattle ranch and we were homeless for several months. It was during that time when we were homeless that I got a call from Ted Yoho to become his campaign manager.
Now this is a great story, right? In fact, it is expertly put together. It makes it seem like she grew up in the country, like she knows what farmers have to go through, like she knows what it's like to work with her hands. And on top of that, she knows what it's like for big government to come in and take it from you. And then she was able to work from being homeless and actually make it, just like you can in America. The only problem is, it's completely fake. She made it up so that she could run for Congress and win here in the 3rd District in Florida. Now here's how we know that. Kat's mom, Virginia, bought a piece of land in 1993. It was about 33 acres, not the 55 that Kat claimed to a paper in downtown Denver. On top of that, for somebody who has a cattle ranch, every single person, if you have one in Colorado, would know who you are. Cattle ranches are a big deal. It's a huge operation. You can't do that on 33 acres. And on top of that, the Corn Growers Association, they don't know who she is. The Cattlemen Beef Association, never heard of the Cammacks. And the FFA has never had anybody in their organization with that name. Now on top of that, we found the property records. There were no buildings on the place. There was no barn. There was no way for them to actually run a cattle ranch on this property. Now they didn't live in that piece of land. They actually had a house in Aurora and an apartment. But here's the interesting thing. In '93, when she bought the land, they started to pay off the mortgage. But 3 years later, they took out their first loan. A couple years after that, they took out their second one to pay off the first one. And then a third one to pay off the second one, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth. In 2005, her grandparents declared bankruptcy for the first time. They also declared it in 2018, but they were both Chapter 7s, which means they had no assets put up and they never lost anything. In 2006, Virginia Cammack took out her 7th and final loan. It was 2005 that they couldn't overcome. This is the one that did them in. At that point, they had almost $300,000 in debt. But it wasn't Obama that actually did them in. It wasn't Obama that bankrupted them. It was Kat. You see, Kat decided that she was going to go on a luxury cruise liner for a 108-day trip across the world. Today's value, that costs about 30 grand. Now, because of this, they were no longer able to continue paying the interest rates on the land. In fact, they had only paid off about $500 of the principal in the last 5 years. Now, after they lost this, and it was actually bought by DirecTV, and again, there was no buildings on the property, so they didn't actually live there. They did have to downsize. And in fact, they moved into what is an equivalent of an $850 apartment today. But this was so beneath Kat, this was so unlike everything that she was used to, the luxury that she was used to, that she referred to this $850 apartment as, quote, a crack house. That apartment costs more than what mine does now. So let's recap. She didn't grow up in the country. She didn't grow up on a cattle ranch. She made that up. She made up that Obama bankrupted them because she was too ashamed to admit that it was her. And on top of that, she claimed that she was homeless for a little while and that she worked her way out of it. We know all of that is completely fake, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. This is part 1 of 3. Because this was before Kat entered politics. So stay tuned, because you're not even going to believe what happened next.